See, I just do it. That's just the quietest. It's just like, yeah. Oh, what if I did it like I just did it like that, and then I just did. And
It,
it's
doink. Yeah,
doink.
boom.
Oh yeah, just gonna. Yeah. Hi everybody. My name's Amber Jones. If you haven't gathered already, thanks to the little Zoom thing. Welcome back to In Conversation with ATF. My guest today is back for part two. He was one of the first, the part two. So I can't remember. It was definitely summer 2021, so one of the first, I'd say 20 or something, that I interviewed. He was one of the first 20 interviewees, and now he's back for part two. You may know my guest from multiple films such as Yogi and the Invasion of the Space Bears, where he played Zor-1, Lego Batman the movie, DC Superheroes Unite, he voiced Commissioner Gordon. He's also done additional voices, different characters for Batman and Mr. Freeze, Sub-Zero, Ferngully, The Last Rainforest, Sing, The Grinch, and he's also Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with Corey Burton as well. So they both did voice roles in that. How cool is that?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And who else is
Mm-hmm.
there? Corporal Capeman Sweetly in Inspector Gadget, your first animation role. Rewind and Martin in the Transformers. Michelangelo in the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Gobo Fraggle in Fraggle Rock, the animated series. Waldo in Where's Waldo or Where's Wally if you live in the UK. The Tick in The Tick. False Face in Batman Beyond. Rocco in the new Batman Adventures. Sentinel Prime in Transformers Animated. And also different shows such as Gem and the Holograms, Superman, the Ruby Spears version, Tailspin, Darkwing Duck, Animaniacs, Superman the Animated Series, the Batman, Duck Dodgers, he's also Michelangelo in Nickelodeon All Star Brawl 1 and 2, which is coming out soon. Don't know why I did that. 1, 2, there we go. Yeah. 2, 1, yeah. Lego Batman 2 DC Superheroes, where he voiced Mr. Freeze, Mad Hatter, and Commissioner Gordon. Also, TMNT Shredder's Revenge is Michelangelo as well. And for those who are into radio, you may have heard my guest as Jason Whittaker in Adventures in Odyssey. You may have heard him in that. I cannot get my words out. I'm so sorry. And you might have also seen him on my wardrobe right there.
There you go.
A dinky little picture there. My guest is the lovely Townsend Coleman.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hello. Oh, I just propping up my computer then. I just hit my knee. Hi,
Ow.
Townsend.
Hi.
We met
Don't hit your knee. That's going to hurt you.
I'm trying to situate myself here, but yeah, since obviously part one happened, we've actually met in person, and honestly, I was oh dear. It's just started raining really heavily outside. Well, I'm glad I'm in here, not in my little
Send
den.
it my way. It's too dry here in Southern California.
Oh, I can hear it. I think it's like hailstones.
Oh,
I
that's
can
great.
hear it. Actually, I'm gonna have to go look now. Look, I'm so curious. I really should have. It's
Oh, boy. Well, kids,
it's
here
like
we are with her.
it's like really heavy rain, but it's like really sunny. It's like so weird. Like, how does that even happen? I don't know. But anyways, enough talking. This isn't a weather forecast or anything. Well, it kind of is, but you know. Townsend, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing, Amber?
I am good, thank you. I am nice and warm, toasty in my bedroom, away from that weird weather that is going on outside. Yeah, so we met, and signed my VHS. I met all four of them. I met you, I met Barry Gordon, I met Rob Paulson, I met Cam Clark, and I got Cam on my show at last. We did an episode a few
Yay.
months ago. Yeah,
All
so
right.
that was really fun. So
Yeah, it was
yeah,
great seeing you at Wales Comic Con.
I know. Yeah, because I think you were originally slated to go in April 2022 when Kevin and Will were there, but
Right.
it was something to do. I don't know what happened, but I know then Barry ended up getting COVID or something like that, so that's why he wasn't in. Was it Dubai that you guys went to before Rob
We
went to
were in
Dublin?
yeah, we were in Dubai. Barry didn't make that trip because he had another trip, a prior trip planned
Oh yeah, to
at the same
London.
time. Right.
Yeah, you told me you going to London.
So
Yeah.
that didn't work because of the rescheduling. So yeah, so it was just me, Cam, and Rob in Abu Dhabi and
Ooh.
Dubai. Yeah.
And what was it like there? I've got to ask.
It was really interesting. I mean, fascinating in a way,
Hmm.
um, because one of the things that was really curious to us to find out was that well, when we did a panel, so many of these folks over there in the UAE just speak this perfect English. no accent at all. I mean, it's really, really brilliant. And so we asked a couple of guys, who again, just had these impeccable American accents. And we said, where did you learn to speak English like that? Because they'd never been to America. And they said, from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, from watching American cartoons. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it was fun. I mean, it was such a culture, a culture eye opener for us. Yeah, it was just really interesting being over there. And the con was actually in Abu Dhabi, but our host was very gracious and rented a big tour bus and took a bunch of us from the con over to Dubai for a day, and so we got a chance to see Dubai, and that was fascinating. So it was great. That was a great trip. Yeah.
That's so cool because like I've
Yeah.
seen pictures of Dubai and it's so modern. Like you got these massive skyscrapers and stuff. And
Oh
I
yeah.
think in Abu Dhabi there's a Warner Brothers Movie World theme park. I think.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
there is because there's one there, one in Australia, the one in Madrid, which I went to a few months ago. Yeah. So
Yeah.
wow, that's so cool. Would you
Yeah.
go
We got
back
it.
there?
Yeah, I think I would.
Yeah.
I'd like
What
to.
were you gonna
I'd
say?
like
So
to spend more. I'd like to spend more time in Dubai. We were only there for that one day.
uh, I cut
Yeah.
in. I'm so sorry. What were you gonna say? I just completely went.
What was I? Oh, all I was going to say was we got a chance to go to the world's biggest indoor shopping mall in Dubai,
Wow.
and in this shopping mall they have an indoor ski resort, a
Oh, right.
literal ski hill that was much bigger than I thought it was going to be. And so our host took us into this ski area and rented all the gear for us. We didn't actually ski or snowboard, but we had to
Oh,
wear,
nice.
the parkas and the pants and the gloves and the hats
Yeah.
and that stuff because it was 24 degrees Fahrenheit in there. They keep it. But it's so amazing because as you're riding up the chairlift, you're looking over to your right or to your left, and it's nothing but windows, and the windows are all restaurants that are situated around
Wow.
this ski area. Yeah. So, you've
Yeah.
got a like California Pizza Kitchen or a cheesecake factory,
Oh
sitting right
my
there, and all the
gosh.
diners are out, are just sitting there by the window looking at the skiers and snowboarders coming down the hill. So that was fascinating.
So wait,
And we went
you
to
went.
Ferrari World. So
Ooh, oh yes, because they got a Ferrari World there. Hasn't it got like a roller coaster or something?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And
it
that's
got
it.
like a
That's
like.
it. Actually, I'm now I'm getting confused. Pretty sure that was in Abu Dhabi, not Dubai.
Yeah,
But
I think so.
yeah, but
Yeah.
so we did a lot of interesting stuff while we were over there.
So wait, you went up the ski lift, but you didn't actually like ski or snowboard
Correct.
down.
Yeah, and the way it works is you get on this thing and it takes you up quite a ways, and then it does this dog leg turn up to the left and goes up even higher to an area that you can't see when you first get on the ski lift. So the area ends up being much bigger than you thought it was.
Oh
And
right.
then when we got to the top of that, we just rounded the corner and then rode the ski lift back down, the chairlift all the way back down, and then got off, and that was that.
I
So
I could just picture you just going down the ski slope, just screaming like "Cowabunga, dude!" or
yeah,
something like
right.
that. That would have been so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, you should go
sliding
back.
down on my butt.
You should go
Cowabunga,
back.
dude.
You should go back and
Yeah.
bring Barry with you. You should go back and
Well,
just bring Barry with you.
yeah, you do my shell slide.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm just yeah. You should go back, all three of you, with Barry as well. I think that would be
Oh,
really cool.
it'd be a blast if we could. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I love the story that you said at Wales Comic Con. I can't. Was it you or was it another one of the boys? But something about like you hadn't had a proper reunion at a convention until only a few years ago because I think Barry just started doing them or something along those lines. I can't remember.
Hmm. I don't know. We've been doing cons together for about 10 years, maybe.
Ah, it must have been that recent, yeah. But I think it was, I don't know when Barry started doing them, but I think it might have just been like you guys or something. I
I
don't
think,
know.
yeah, I think maybe what it was is a story that Barry told about how after we did the show, we kind of lost touch with each other
Yeah, that's
because
it.
we're all
That's it.
busy. Yeah, we're all busy, doing other stuff,
Yeah.
and And then Rob started doing his Talking Tunes podcast, and he was doing it up at the John Lovitz Comedy Club at Universal City Walk. And
Ooh.
and so he got us, the four of us, together at a restaurant to run this idea by us
Yeah.
about going on his podcast, which we ended up doing. So we had such a blast doing that. Rob was just starting to do Comic Cons himself, and so he hooked us up with his agent, and he started sending us out, the four of us together, and we thought maybe this was something that might last a year or two. I don't know. But then it, kind of developed a life of its own, and we started going out, the four of us together, and we've been doing it, like I said, for the last 10 years. I'm guessing 10 years sounds about right, maybe. But
Yeah.
yeah.
And it must be fun for you guys, especially because it feels like in my eyes you get to travel around in a massive tour bus, just the four of you guys and your agents across like different cities. And when you come to the UK, you're all on the same bus and everything. You go into different restaurants and
Well,
stuff.
yeah, well, it's not quite like that,
Mm.
because we don't travel
I wish
together
it was.
on a tour bus. Of course, we fly to
Yeah.
our destinations, but
Yeah, yeah.
we don't all necessarily fly together. So it's not like we're the monkeys or something.
Turtle
Uh, uh,
Mania? I don't know.
yeah. So yeah, but we've been doing it ever since, and it's just developed a life of its own. When the four of us go out together, we just love it. And next year, in 2024, is going to be the 40th anniversary of the comic book of Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that they've got some 40th anniversary stuff planned for us, even though it's not our
Ooh.
40th anniversary. That won't be till 2027, I guess, technically.
I think so,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, so we've just had a ball doing this. It's, you know, gosh, knock on Formica, right?
That's really cool though, honestly, because like you obviously you've done these conventions and sometimes you'll have a special guest with you, like you might have Renee with you, you might have Pat Fraley, you might have Peter Renaday. Would you
Yep.
what about because I've just met her at TF Nation, Susan Blue.
Zoo
Is
Blue.
it has it been you four and Sue Blue as well, or have you
The
not done a
only
convention without
Nah,
them?
no, we haven't done cons with her. The only time we did something with her was at that very first time we all got together for Rob's podcast,
Oh right,
and
so
and
it
Susie was part of that.
oh right, so it wasn't just you, Cam and Barry then, and Rob.
No, it was Sue and Renee and Pete Renaday and Pat Fraley. It was everybody but James Avery.
James Avery, yeah. Well, I mean, this would
Yeah.
have been, but what year would this have been? 2013, 12, maybe?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Back right around there. It's 12 or
Yeah.
13, I'm thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I think, didn't James Avery pass away in like 2014, I think? I don't know. Unless he'd already passed away prior to your meetup or he was busy. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think he had already passed away at by that time. Pretty
Yeah.
sure. Don't
Oh,
quote me on that, but
I won't, but I think like it's really nice. I haven't heard the episode, but like I know you probably may have played tribute to James in that episode. Shredder's
hmm
not here. Yeah, I think that's really
yeah,
sweet. Yeah.
yeah.
So of course it's not just been me going to conventions and you going to conventions and people, all the fans coming to see you. Well, actually, yeah, that is a very good question. With the 40th anniversary of the comics coming up, how do you feel that your legacy with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as did you think it would ever be this popular? I mean, you're coming back. You've come back as Michelangelo for Nick All-Star Brawl and Shredder's Revenge, and they've just played the 1987 cartoon on Nicktoons. They've just started rerunning that again. How does it
Yeah.
feel for you?
Well, it feels fantastic. I mean, Amber, you got to know that. I mean, the four of us, the five of us, the six, seven, eight of us, all of us who have been
Yeah,
involved with the original TMNT cartoon, just feel like we, just grabbed the golden ring, and
yeah,
we're just that lucky. Of course, we had no idea it was going to be as big as it is. When we started doing it, we kind of thought, well, if we can get a couple of years out of this, it'll be great. Well, and here we are, but 35 years later,
yeah.
or
It's turned into
so,
decades and
whatever,
so
30,
on.
yeah, 8 years later.
Through a
It's
decade, yeah.
Yeah, it's just been an amazing ride, and with the Comic-Con appearances now and getting to meet the fans the way we do and hearing their stories and, getting to know them personally and, put a name to the face, because, we're all friends with so many of these folks on Facebook or Instagram, Twitter and such. And so you kind of get to know the name, but then to put a face with it is always
Yeah.
delightful, and to meet them in person. So this whole transition kind of into the Comic-Con world for the last decade has been just for me, and I think for all of us, a real blessing. It's brought the four of us back together on a regular basis, which is a blast. And like I said, it's given us a chance to meet folks like you, and
Yeah.
folks who've been fans for years. I'll tell you, it never gets old. Hearing a 45-year-old, uh, guy, come up with his family and then start talking about what Ninja Turtles meant to him when he was 7, when he was 9, 10, and
Yeah.
uh, and that's just it's just so heartwarming, to get that kind of experience, which is an experience we never would have gotten. I certainly would have never have gotten without this show. So it's given me such an appreciation for the fans and for people like you who have such an interest in what we did so long ago, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And of course, you guys, you've done a lot of conventions in America and stuff. This has got to be the final word about Comic Cons. So you've done obviously shows in America and stuff. How did it feel? Of course, you've been to England before for the auto assembly events, and I know Barry's been to London. I'm not sure about Rob and Cam. I don't think I've asked them, but just like I'm not sure if they've ever been before. But what was it like to do your show, like not your show, a show in another country? Like England, of course, is like different and stuff, like completely different to America and Dubai and stuff, because of course it was renamed to Hero Turtles. It was changed. The censorship for the BBC was, it was heavily edited and stuff. And you've got
Right.
people with all these Hero Turtles merchandise coming up to you.
Right.
I saw this
Right.
guy with a big bag, and it had like an old play set in it of Turtles from the 80s, and it still had Hero Turtles on it. And like
Right.
I was in like a video game store, I think last year or the year before, and they had like a metal bin of real Ghostbusters and one of Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles. So just seeing all this unique merchandise that they have brought to get signed by you guys, what was it like to do a show in the UK where it was the first time you guys ever did a show in this country?
Well, it's always great doing a show, period. But in the UK, of course, like being over in Abu Dhabi, you've got the cultural differences and and the different sort of flavor of stories that we'd hear from kids growing up. But some of the stuff that was really interesting to me was how the show had been altered for the UK from what we did. And I remember back when we were recording the show, we had to record separate stuff and separate bumpers and I think separate like PSAs for and definitely separate lines for the UK, which were UK specific. And that was always really interesting to me back then. Well, hearing some of the stories from you guys when we were in the UK for the Comic Con uh, was just really fascinating to me. But of course, people are people too. So, it wasn't really that different getting to hear the stuff that meant so much to now adults when they were kids watching TMNT over there. Um, or I guess you wouldn't have called it TMNT, would you? You would have had to call it TMHT, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
that's
probably.
crazy. That never even occurred to me till just now. I mean, did
Yeah,
you call it TMHT?
I honestly don't know
Oh,
because
well,
like
you were, yeah,
it
you
was
weren't born for another 20
I'd
years.
I would say it's before my time, but like I'm into it, even though it was before my time, and it was called
Right.
Ninja Turtles when the later iterations aired over here, and I've always known it as Ninja Turtles, so it must have been
Yeah, and I
the
and I think most people do now, but when they refer to it over there in the UK, do they
yeah they
still refer
changed it.
to it as the Hero Turtles or
A
Ninja
lot of them
Turtles?
do, but they
Yeah.
officially changed it back to Ninja Turtles in the late 90s. So really, the censorship only really lasted for about 10 years. So, but there
Okay.
is still,
Well,
if you're retro, they say Hero Turtles, but many people just say TMNT.
Right. What a
Yeah.
weird thing. I gotta
I
ask
know.
somebody about that. I
Team
gotta find
HD.
that if you ever find out, from an oldster, of somebody who grew up with Ninja Turtles back then, and was a an 8-year old in 1988, say, or 89 or
Yeah.
90.
Hmm.
I'd love to find out if it was actually referred to as TMHT or TMNT back then. That just never occurred to me till just now.
Well, I'll try and find out for you. I'll get
Yeah.
a message to so a few people I know, and I'll get back to you on that. I'm
All
interested
right.
as well. TMHT,
Yes.
TMNT. It's like TMNT, TMHT. It's like TMNT rolls off the tongue. You can say it. It takes you quicker to say it TMNT than TMHT. You
Well,
know, it's
because it's the official one. That's why, young lady.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
the
the
way it was
official
supposed
title.
to be from the very beginning.
And I love the the Mutant Ninja Turtles little thing behind you. What is that? Is that like
Yeah.
a massive
You,
magnet or something?
this thing is ancient. I mean, it literally came out, I think, in 87 or 80.
Oh, it's a filing cabinet. I thought it was a fridge that was behind you.
No, that's just a filing cabinet. But
I
this
was like,
stuff,
oh, just gonna turn around, get myself a few food from out there.
yeah, it doesn't have the. Oh, yeah. 1990 it came out. And
Wow.
it's just a plastic, like wall hanging.
Oh
Um,
right.
but it's like
It
molded.
looks like a massive fridge magnet.
It's three. I mean, it kind of is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just got it taped up on my filing cabinet behind me
Oh, it's taped
because
up. I thought it was
because
magnetic.
this is my studio slash
I love
uh,
it.
closet slash office.
I love it,
So
honestly.
yeah, thanks.
You got
But
Gobo, you got the tick, you got everything there.
yeah, yeah. Some of my buddies there behind me, jamming the
Okay.
holograms. That's Riot. There's Gobo, Fraggle Rock, the Tick.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Mm-hmm.
some of my TMNT guys, Usagi Yojimbo, Michelangelo, and the Rat King. And I don't know if you can see him right down there, but that's Sentinel Prime.
I was gonna ask you, have you got a Sentinel figure? And I've just looked up Autobot Sentinel Prime, and it's
That
one on
that's that's
Amazon.
Sentinel
I was
Prime.
gonna ask, have you
There you
got a
go.
Sentinel?
Oh, yeah,
Well, so
I got
that
a
for me.
few of them.
Yeah, honestly, I love like voice actors who have like memorabilia of their different characters. I think it's really sweet. Like, oh yeah, I'm the voice of that, or something like that, and it's you in toy form essentially.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
remember I remember being so excited when my first action figure came out
yeah,
of
of
Michelangelo.
Mikey. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, bless you.
Yeah,
That
and
would
then
have
I
been
started
must be
going to
so.
Toys R Us every week trying to, because I had made a commitment to myself that I was going to buy one of everything that came out and not ever open it, right?
Yeah.
And I did that, so I was going to Toys R Us like every other week and picking up anything that I didn't have yet of Ninja Turtles, and I did that for about a year, and it just got to be too much because they started coming out with all these different versions of things. I never, it never occurred to me that they would end up coming out with so much product. And so I finally just gave up. So I've got, about a year's worth of that original stuff in actually a
Yeah.
Ninja Turtles box. It's a Ninja Turtles like trunk,
Wow.
like a steamer trunk sort of thing.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so and then a bunch of other boxes too, and I got them all over in storage. But yeah, I couldn't the stuff that they came out with then and continue to come out with over the years, and now, Nickelodeon is just cranking out. Not just Nick, but well, Nick is as the owner of the franchise, of course, licensing all this stuff to Playmates and to
Yeah.
NECA and to Pops and all that stuff. So it's pretty crazy all the
Yeah.
product that's coming out now.
Yeah. And like, did you ever get any toys free when you first got got the roller
No,
Mikey or not? You
no,
didn't.
we didn't.
Not even
We
a
didn't get.
courtesy toy. Oh
No, we
man.
didn't get any. We didn't get anything free.
Shucks.
Amber, no, 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 no. Oh no! If we
Oh
wanted it, we had
yes.
to go.
Yeah.
We had to go buy it. Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say because Nickelodeon aren't doing a new TV show because of course Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is end. Well, no, there is one being made for Paramount Plus. It's based on the new Mutant Mayhem film. I'm not sure if they'll bring back the original voice. Probably not all the voice actors because you've got like big like people
Are,
like Seth Rogen, like John Cena, and everything like that. But
are they doing another TV series? based on the Mutant Mayhem feature?
Yeah, they are, but it's for Paramount Plus. I'm not sure if it will air on Nickelodeon. It might air on Nickelodeon over here. I don't know. But what I find really useful is that for like even like the Apple Arcade Nick tennis things and the brawling games and stuff, they've brought back the original voice actors. They brought back you, they brought back Cam, Rob, Barry. I think it's really sweet that they still utilize, even if it's, oh, what was it? I think it was either you voiced Mikey and it had the 2012 design, or Greg Sipes voiced Mikey and it had the 80s design, but it was definitely for one of the Apple Arcade games. I'll have to look it up in a minute. But yeah, I
Interesting.
find that quite funny. Yeah.
Well, this Shredder's Revenge is the only video game that they have that we've gotten a chance to voice. All the video games over the years either didn't have voices or they
Mm-hmm.
used other voices to
Yeah.
do us. But so Shredder's Revenge is the first video game after all these years that we've actually gotten to do that they actually used the original
Yeah.
voices. So that
Yeah.
thrilled us no end
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah. Oh, I've just found it here. So the Nick Tennis, it is Greg Sipes' voice Michelangelo, but he has the 80s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle design,
That's
which
just
is
not right.
I know, like
I'm gonna have to have a talk with him.
yeah, Nickelodeon Extreme Tennis. That is so weird because I'm looking it up now, and also with Shredder's Revenge, of course, it's just the new Karai DLC has come out now, and
Right.
it has, of course, Sean Guernsey, who voices Shredder and Splinter, his daughter. I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong. That Alana, 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 probably. I'm gonna feel so stupid if that is not the correct way.
Don't
Alana,
know.
that she is the voice of Karai, and this was
Oh,
done as a blind audition. They didn't even know she was his daughter at the time.
oh
So
wow.
yeah,
Crazy.
I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, I'm literally looking at Shredder's Revenge here. There we are. She's now on behind the voice actors, and you saw. Oh right, okay. So they brought back. Okay, that's great. Yes, I'll have to follow up with Sean after that. Now that they've got that, but yeah, it says Nickelodeon Kart Racers All Star Brawl. It says you've been confirmed as voicing Michelangelo for All Star Brawl 2. Is that true? Oh wait, no,
Mm,
you can't say, can you? Because it
I
doesn't come
don't
out
know.
until I don't know. Just pretend I didn't say that.
We'll find
Just
out, I
it's
guess.
unknown. It's unknown. But some people say that apparently they're reusing voice lines from the first game. But what's the point? What's the point in making a second game when you can just update the first one? I don't.
Uh, good,
I don't
good
know.
question. Money, I guess. I don't know. Something for them to
Maybe.
sell.
I don't know. Probably.
Yeah, yeah, right. Capitalism, baby.
Yeah, yeah. Now, of course, I've got to bring up one topic that I've been wanting to talk to you about, Townsend. I know we
All right.
didn't discuss this when I spoke to you last time, but since obviously last time we spoke, I got into the DC animated universe, and of course, you've appeared in Superman the animated series, Batman Beyond, the new Batman adventures. I was doing like incidental characters or minor characters. So what was it like going into a recording session for those? Of course, Andrea Romano must have voice rated you for a lot of them, but any of the Batman ones, did you ever see anyone else? Maybe Kevin Conroy, maybe?
Sure, Kevin. I'm trying to think because we did them in a couple of different studios. Um, yeah, honestly, Amber, I only did just a handful of those things, and and they were all incidental characters. They were minor characters. I didn't play, an ongoing regular character in any of them. So, I mean, I was very honored to have been part of um, uh, the uh, the Warner Brothers world, and the DC world and the Marvel world,
Mm-hmm.
doing Batman and Superman. I mean, to the extent that they gave me a jacket for each of those. Um,
Wow.
so yeah, so that made me feel pretty official, like a part of the cast, a part of the project for sure. But they were small characters, so I don't want to I don't want to poo poo it. I'm not. I'm all I'm saying
Gonna
is
fling it.
I was nothing big in these things. It was I was supplemental for sure.
Yeah, and obviously it had a unique cast across all of them. Of course, you were working with a young actress at the time on the new Batman Adventures called Tara Charondoff, who we now know nowadays as Tara Strong.
Yeah,
So,
right, right.
yeah,
I remember sitting this. It was the first time I got a chance to meet Seth Green, and we were working over at a little studio in on Riverside in Burbank, and yeah, and I was sitting right next to Seth Green, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy, big cast, cool cast. And then of course he went on to do Ninja Turtles years later on the 2012 series. But
yeah. I'm literally because I've just loaded up one of the cast lists for Old Wounds, which is the episode you played Rocco in. And of course, you've got Kevin Conroy, Tara Charondoff, Lauren Lester, Matthew Valencia, Efren Zimbalist Jr., Mark Hamill. Were you at that recording session? Or were
I
you
don't
not there?
recall because I don't recall meeting. I didn't meet Mark. I don't think I ever saw Mark at any of those sessions. I did work with Mark once on on one session. It was actually a pilot for a cartoon, the name of which I don't recall. But yeah, it was fascinating for me to meet him. Of course, being a big Star Wars fan myself.
Yeah.
Um, and just getting to see him as a real guy. Just I was a bit starstruck, of course. But yeah, he's fascinating and just a wonderful human being. My gosh. Um, but yeah, and Lauren Lester, of course, Robin, he and I go way way back because we were with the same agent. I want to say when I first moved here in 1984, we probably met up not long after that, and
Who was your
yeah.
voice agent back in the day?
Well, it's always been Jeff Danis. Well, for the most part, when I first came out here, I signed with a little agency called Special Artists,
All right, so it's
and
not
they
who I'm thinking of.
they were terrific. And I was with them for 4 years, and then went over to ICM,
Yeah.
and because Jeff had gone over there to start the voiceover department with Bob Colvin, and so I went over to ICM once I left Special Artists, and was there until they closed down their commercial department, and that's when Jeff and a gal named Kama and a guy named Dean Pinero, they started their own agency, taking all the clients from ICM,
Yeah.
and started their own agency called DPN, and that's who I'm still with
Yeah, and
today.
Barry's with them too, and then Cam and Rob are
Barry
with SBV.
SBV, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because
And when I first moved here in 1984, I went over to SBV to talk to Rita Venari about
oh,
them signing me, and this is before, of course, I signed with uh,
ICM
no, well, no, Special Artists back then,
special artist.
and
Sorry.
yeah, and so I met with Rita. She liked my demo, and she said, I love your stuff, but I have a couple of guys who are too much like you, and so I don't feel it'd be right for me to take you on when I've already got them." And I'm like, "That's cool, that's great." Well, it turned out the two she was referring to were Cam and Rob. So
Ah,
yeah,
free turtles.
yeah, right. So
That's so
yeah, so
cool.
that didn't happen, but the way it did happen was the way it should have happened. I mean, I've got certainly zero complaints about the way this business has treated me
Oh
over
yeah.
the last 4 decades. So,
Yeah. Actually, I was going to ask you because before I spoke to Cam, I watched his show on YouTube. Stop Me If I Didn't Tell You This. I think that's what it's called. Did you
mhm.
go see that live when it
Yeah,
first thing happened?
yeah, we went when it opened. Pretty
Was
sure
it?
we went to opening night,
I was going to
and
say,
it was.
was it all three of you? You, Barry, and
Mhm,
Rob, or was it just you? Was it?
mhm.
Oh wow, that's so cool. I need to finish
Yeah,
watching about
yeah,
three.
yeah. It was all of us, and Cam's and some of Cam's family. I know that his brother was there. We got a picture with his brother and Cam and the four of us together. I don't remember whether Renee went or not. I hate to say that I don't remember, but I don't remember. I'd have to look back at the picture and see if she
Stop
was
me if
in
I
it.
told you
But
this. That's it. Oh yeah,
yeah,
because Debbie Derryberry and E.G. Daily went. 'Cause I think I saw photos of them there. Stop me if I told you this. That's so. It's kind of similar to stop me if I didn't tell you it. Well, I
it
kind of
was a
recorded.
it was a fantastic show. That
Of what
yeah,
I've seen so far, it is really
that he wrote and produced, and of course it was a one man show, just him,
Yeah,
and it was pretty brilliant. Yeah, we were
I
very proud of
know.
him for doing that.
Oh, that's so sweet. And like it's
Yeah,
just so lovely to see you all in Telford and like, you're all so, obviously we'd spoken prior and then like this was my first time interacting with Cam. And then like now he's one of my friends, you're just thinking, wow,
right.
I know all the turtles. That is absolutely crazy. And when he said to me, "Let me know when you're in California," I was like, "Well, I've got the dates booked down," and you're just thinking, "What's going to happen? Are we
Who
going to
said that?
meet?"
Cam?
Cam, yeah.
Yeah, right.
So I said, I don't know what's going to happen, but what I loved about his house is that he has like a massive I can't remember what material it is, but it's a cutout of Sherman from Peabody and Sherman, and he got it from I think it was a garage sale. And they had a fractured fairy tales fairy as well, but I think they sold it after he came back, after he left and came back. So yeah, he's into that sort of like old era, and you grew up with
Oh,
that,
he's
right?
oh right.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. But Cammy's got some of the most amazing collectibles. Yeah,
yeah,
he's got a music room where he displays most of his stuff. But I know, and then he's got cells matted and framed all over his house, and
yeah,
collectible photographs that he's had from his career and stuff. Yeah, he's been at this a long time,
yeah,
and
definitely.
he's a great collector. He curates really amazingly. Um, the really primo stuff that he grew up with and is a fan of. He's got a huge Barbie collection. Yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. But
Oh
like
man,
the
I
classic
wonder if he's
Barbies,
been to see the Barbie film.
like the very first ones.
I wonder if he's seen the new Barbie film. I should ask. I should email asking that. Have you seen the new Barbie? Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, that was really lovely. And okay. Oh yeah, because he voiced like a sort of Teddy Ruxpin toy of Snoopy from Peanuts back in the day. And like I said, I've been
Right.
researching into that and stuff. And he said, "Hang on one second." He went out and he actually came back in with a Worlds of Wonder Snoopy. I'm like, wow. He said it doesn't work. I'm gonna try and get it fixed and stuff. I'm like, you need to get it fixed. You need to hear your voice again. I'm not sure if we got the cassettes or anything. I can't remember if he said he had the cassettes or not, but yeah, it's just again merchandise. Especially, it's more unique if it's a speaking figure or a talking doll and stuff like that. Have you got any speaking figures of yours,
Oh,
like any toys that speak?
yeah. Well, that
Just
my
go.
big talking tick back there
Yeah.
speaks. I'll tell you one of my real treasures. And to be honest, I've never heard it because so I did the voice of Waldo in Where's Waldo or Where's Wally for you, and
Yeah.
uh, and one of my real treasures that I've ever received is a drawing that Martin Hanford did of Waldo for me.
Yeah.
It's very small. It's only about this big,
Uh-huh.
maybe about 7, 8 inches high. And he framed it, he matted it and framed it himself
Oh my
and has
gosh.
a little inscription written on it under the glass. Uh, it's priceless to me to have a hand drawn Waldo from the creator of Waldo. But what I was going to say is, so when that cartoon came out, Mattel actually came out with a series of a talking Waldo doll
Oh
that
right.
was big like the tick there. I want to say is maybe 16, 18 inches tall is big.
Uh-huh.
And then a talking Wenda. Wenda was Waldo's girlfriend, and also a little barking dog. The dog's name was Woof.
Woof,
So
yes.
yeah, so I wanted to, of course, get one of these talking Waldos, and went to Toys R Us, and they didn't carry them because they said they'd been discontinued, and they had just come out, and I'm like, discontinued? How could that be?
That's odd.
You know, the thing is brand new. So I called Mattel and they said, yeah, unfortunately, it was a soft opening, they didn't sell well. And so they
Man.
discontinued it. And I said, well, are they available anywhere? I did the voice Waldo for the cartoon and I'd love to get one. And they said the only ones that we're aware of are at our company store down here in El Segundo at our headquarters.
Yeah.
And so I drove down to Mattel, down to El Segundo, down to their company store, and
Hmm.
I got two. They had two left, and that was it. And to my knowledge, they weren't available anywhere else in the world, once they'd been
Wow.
discontinued. Yeah. And so I don't think
Yeah.
they actually ended up selling that many. So I think that they're probably
Wow.
pretty rare.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. So I got the Wenda doll also and the Woof, um, but I've never opened them. So I don't know what he sounds like. I don't, and the curious thing about the Talking Waldo one is that, so like on the tick here, it's got a little electronic chip in it, right?
Yeah.
And so I did the voices for that. And you
Yeah.
just push this button on the back and you hear him talk. Well, on the Waldo doll, it's not an electronic chip, it's an actual little plastic disc like a record with grooves on it.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh.
Yeah, that you slide into a slot, I'm assuming on his back,
Hmm.
and then push a button and hear him talk.
Yeah.
Um, but it's such a unique system, and I've never had a chance to try it or hear what it sounds like because I didn't want to open those boxes. I wanted to keep them unopened. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Better keep them. You better keep them closed because you don't know what the battery's going to be like 30
right.
years on. It could
And I've
end up
got
just being really
and I've got
distorted or something.
You're right. And I've got talking Michelangelo figures as well and stuff.
Yeah.
So I want
Yeah.
to say I think that those are the only three. Mikey, the Tick, and Waldo are the only action figures or toys that I've ever done of my characters that talk. But I've done
Yeah.
other talking toys before, like
There
early in
wasn't a
my career.
there
But
wasn't a talking Gobo or anything from Fraggle Rock.
no talking Gobo.
Hmm.
I wish there was. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been cool. What other talking toys have you done?
So one of the original ones that I did when I first moved to town was for Mattel, and it was a talking it was a bookworm, and it was for kids, like young kids, like
Yeah.
5, 6 years old. And it was this plastic book that opened up,
Yeah.
and it's got this sculpture of a bookworm on it, but it's got these buttons that you push and I think there were like 6 buttons, and depending on the order that you push them in, you can make up random, weird, crazy sentences. And I forget what the toy was called, but so I was the voice of that bookworm. So I was the when you push the buttons, the sentences that came out were my voice. And
Yeah.
yeah, and also did a thing for a toy called Boglins. Actually, it was a commercial that I did for them where I did the voice of the Boglins,
Yeah.
and there was another. I think it was Mattel, not sure, but a line of toys called Food Fighters, and I did the voices for all the food fighters in the commercials. But the actual talking toys, I think the only talking toy that I did besides a couple of my characters was that bookworm one for little kids.
Yeah, yeah, and going back to regional changes, of course, it was called "Where's Wally" here, and "Where's Waldo" in America. So, of course, when you did the show for America for the American audiences, you then had to re-record a version that had Wally instead of Waldo for the
Yeah,
UK audience, because obviously, of course,
yeah.
like other countries had their own dubbing track and stuff. So, like, did they ever explain that to you, or they said, oh yeah, you're gonna have to redo these episodes and say Wally instead of Waldo? How was that for you guys?
Yeah, well, they just explained it to us as it being a different title over there, and that we would have to modify those Waldos into Wallies for the UK market. Seemed a little odd to me at the time because I didn't really understand why why it was called Waldo over here and Wally over there. Uh,
Yeah.
I think it was explained to me at one point, and I still didn't understand it. So
Yeah, I'm trying to track down the guy who was Woof in Where's Waldo, David Workman, because he also did Transformers. He was Nose Cone and Twin. I can't seem to
yeah,
find any information about him online, but I'm still trying to get him.
yeah.
But yeah, because I listened to the theme song and the way it just kind of rolls off, it's like so funky. It's like, where is Wally? Like it says like that, but then like it's like, where's Waldo? It's like kind of goes down, but then like O is like like a deeper sound than E. I don't know why.
Right.
It's like an earworm to me. But I think there was one evening where me and my friend were just sitting on a call, and I just went, "Where's Wally?" And then we just started singing it, and it was just. I counted how many where's Wally, how many times I think it says like how many times it says where in the song. It's 17 times.
And you bothered to count that.
Yeah, I didn't have anything to do with the song.
Right. Clearly.
Yeah, I was like, I should be looking for a job. Instead, I'm counting how many where's there are in the Where's Waldo theme song. There's
There you go.
17. It's
Well, another
17.
little bit of useless trivia I can keep in my brain and
Yeah, that will
push
never be
out.
used. That will be never be remembered again. But it will never
That's
be
right.
brought up in the future. Yes, unless
That's
one
right.
day, and what if one day you're doing a quiz and they ask how many times is where said in the Where's Wally theme? Oh
That's
yeah, I
right.
know this. Why do you know this? Unless it's maybe because of how many times you watched the show as a kid. I don't know. Um, but I think did we talk about? Yeah, we did talk about Transformers animated. Yeah. So they were group sessions for Transformers animated.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Oh wow! So what was it like, really? Because of course Sue Blue voice directed it. Oh, that's right there. That was such a good
Mm-hmm.
event that I'm there at. And of course, because like
Susie.
yeah, because Corey Burton was on it, and everyone else. So what was it like, really?
Um, Again, it was a fantastic show to work on.
Yeah, yeah,
That one especially because they had created this Sentinel Prime character based on what I had done on the Tick, and they were fans of the Tick. So when they created Sentinel Prime, who had already been a character in years past, but they sort of recreated him and reimagined him, and
yeah,
uh, and so they kind of modeled him. And somebody told me this, and I didn't believe it at first. And then the producers actually confirmed it that they modeled it after the Tick. Big blue, big chin, sort of superhero, and a bit more of a jerk than the Tick was, but they wanted a very sort of Tick-like sound for his voice too. So I was kind of walking that tightrope, not wanting to do the Tick, dead on and yet wanting to get the flavor of that as well. But it was great, working with David Kay and Corey Burton, of course, and Tom Kenny and and Tara and
Jeff
uh,
Bennett,
Je-
Bunker Robinson, Chris Mack.
Jeff, yeah, Jeff and Bumper and Bill
Oh,
Fagerbaki. Yeah, it was a just an amazing cast. Yeah.
yeah. And also, that actually brings me to another good question. The trial of Megatron that you did for TF Nation in 2019, the big script reading, the animated one.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Yeah,
right, right.
I was going to ask you what was it like to work on that. I'm presuming I think it was David Kay and Tom Kenny. They did their lines at the same time in the same studio. Corey did his lines separately, and he did them with Marty Eisenberg, and he wanted the same microphone that he did for Megatron. So how was
That's
it?
so that
I
is
know
so Corey. That is
that's
so
what I
Corey
said.
wanting
That's what I said. Yeah, because I
wanting the same microphone. Yeah,
I
right.
spoke with David Wallace, who was one of the sort
Sure.
of team members at TF Nation, and like he
Of
said,
course.
he kind of put this all together, and he was talking to Marty Eisenberg,
Right.
and of course when Corey at the time, you guys had home studios and stuff. Corey didn't have a home studio because obviously this was before COVID, so he had to. The TF Nation rented out a studio in Los Angeles for him, so he went in to record, and he asked them, have you got the specific microphone? He said, I don't know, but I can check for you. And he says, if you have it, can I use it? Because the exact same microphone I used to record as Megatron for when we originally did the series. I'm like, that sounds so Corey. That's something he would say.
Yeah.
So then Marty phoned David at like 2 a.m. in the morning. He's like, David, I've got someone on the phone for you. And he passes it on to Corey. And then he's like, oh my gosh, hi, Corey, and stuff. And then Corey was like, I hope you like what you've done. And then just David unleashes full with her saying, yeah, I hope so, because I'll make you do it again if I don't.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
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 Corey's so great. I haven't seen him in years. Yeah, I don't know what he's up to these days. I'm sure he's working like a fiend. But yeah, that's that was a fun project to work on. And of course, I did all my lines just right here.
In
Um,
your home studio.
Same
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But what I really want to see is the reveal at the club con because no one knew it was going to happen. So
Right.
like Marty was the guest that year, so he kind of introduced it, and then it was David Kay's voice, and they sort of did it one by one each character. So it was Corey, then Bumper, then Tom Kenny, then Sue Blue as RC, and all these different people, and people are absolutely going mad in the crowd, and then everything like that. The only person they couldn't get for that was Tara Strong. She was up for doing it, but she just couldn't fit it in her schedule. So she
Right.
was the only cast member who didn't return. So they had to get other people to do her lines. But I think it would have been really cool if she did it. It would have been like the whole gang back together.
Yeah.
I know, just looking at the pictures on my wardrobe, and I just think you're just reliving those memories because that picture of Sue there is signed. My friend printed it out on the second day and said, "Go get the signed by Sue." I was like, okay, so it says to Amber, love Sue Blue. So
Yeah. Susie, and there's somebody I haven't seen in years either. She directed most of the cartoons I did,
I
you
know,
know,
yeah, she's Where's
from
Wally? She did,
yeah, she
Turtles.
did, yeah. And Turtles, of course, The Tick, um, uh, Transformers Animated. Yeah.
Yeah. I know,
Yeah.
yeah, she probably did it, and yeah, I don't think she is doing voice direction anymore. She's retired like Andrea Romano, so
Right.
it's
Right. Like
yeah,
most of us.
yeah.
Most of us oldsters these days. Yeah.
Yeah, but honestly, I think it's really cool. And I was just about to, oh yes, I was going to ask you about another DC project. Of course, the Lego Batman stuff you've done, like the films and the video games where you voice like Commissioner Gordon and Mad Hatter and Mister Freeze and stuff. Did they ever ask you to do a sound alike to the original voice actors, or did they ask for your own take on them?
Nope. Yeah, just my own take. Yeah, and I remember I forget which session it was, but I think it was the video. Pretty sure it was the video game one. That Cam was the one who was casting and directing that session.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. So he brought me in as a buddy to do
What
that, and so
what was that
it
for?
was it was I think it was for the Commissioner Gordon.
Oh
Um,
yeah, sorry, my mind just
episode.
went blank for some reason. It was just like a blank white page. I'm like,
Y-
what are we talking
Yeah,
about again? Oh,
yeah,
so Cam
yeah.
was.
No, yeah, so Cam brought me in for that and was voice
Oh,
directing it.
right.
Yeah, it's the first time I've ever worked for Cam.
That is so cool. I never knew he was a voice director as well. I'm having a look. Hang on a
Well,
second.
I think that might have been the
Oh
only
my
thing that
gosh,
he
it is. Oh my, Lego Batman 2 DC Superheroes voice director Cam Clark. I never knew this. Oh my
yeah.
gosh, if I knew this, I would have asked him. I would have asked him about this. Oh my gosh. And
And I
he was
remember
not
it
Green Lantern. Oh,
and I remember at that session it was the first time I got a chance to meet Steve Bloom.
oh yes, because he voiced the Penguin in this, and
Mhm.
Rob was in it. Yeah, why is it? It's always you, Cam, and Rob doing it. I haven't really seen Barry do it because I know you did like the Tick together, and then there was another thing that you guys did, or that might have been with Pat Fraley. But it's like you guys do it, and then just like, yeah, it's like it would have been cool if like, have you four ever done something like the same film or TV show that is not Turtles related?
You mean that all of us worked on?
Yeah, so like of course you all did this Lego DC game that Clark not Clark. I'm thinking of Clark Kent. That Cam voice directed, but Barry isn't. Barry Gordon is not in it. It's everyone else but Barry.
Right. I'm
If
trying
that's
to
easy to explain.
Yeah, you know what? So Barry and I were together over the weekend, and we were talking about this, and
Really?
yeah, and we were talking about like old series, like series that we did like back in the mid '80s, where we first met each other, you know, and uh, and I said, did you? And we were talking about an early cartoon that he did called The Snorks, and
Yes.
And it turns out, so we started talking about that, and I said, "Well, I did that. I did an episode or a couple episodes of the Snorks." And so we started looking into it, and sure enough, Cam did episodes with him on the Snorks. Rob did episodes of the Snorks. It's like we all worked together, but not together. So I think that was
Yeah.
probably the first show that we were all on uh,
That wasn't Turtles.
that wasn't Turtles.
I
Yeah.
didn't know you were on the Snorks. Wow. Oh yeah, because
Yeah,
that was
again, like one or two episodes. I mean,
yeah.
we all did that back then. You do an episode or two of a show where they bring you in just to do incidentals that they needed. Um, you
Yeah.
know, an extra actor for.
Was Snorks done by Peyo as well? Because it looks very similar to Smurfs.
I think it was.
Wow, underwater
I
Smurfs. I mean, yeah.
I think it was.
Oh yeah, because
I can't guarantee.
I remember looking up and it said I think it was on Wikipedia. You can't really trust Wikipedia, but then again, Cam confirmed this that he was sort of mentored by Michael Bell, and Snorks was his first animation job, which I think is
Cam's
really cool.
Cam
Yeah,
said that.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, because I'm having a look. Yeah, it says he was taught by Michael Bell. He got his first acting roles in Snorks and Robotech, which
Oh, there
is
you go.
yeah. So it's like yeah. Oh, how
Yeah.
fun. Um, oh yeah, because it was all different back in those days for like animes. Sometimes they had to be credited as different because I think Cam was credited as Jimmy Flinders in on some non-union projects because I think you had to
Right.
change the name so the union didn't know or something like that. I don't know. Um,
Yeah.
but actually, here's a good question for you. Have you ever worked on any, let's see, anime projects? I would say Transformers anime, it is a kind of anime because of like the art style and just like the way the kind of the mouth moves. It reminds me of an anime and also because of the design. So that's technically an anime. But have you ever worked on any other sort of anime styled programs?
Yeah,
Like
early
doing
on,
anything cool?
Rob and I both worked on a series called Saber Rider and the Star Sheriffs. And
That's
that
really
was
cool.
actual Japanese anime that we revoiced into English. Of course, Rob was Saber Rider, and I played a character named Colt. And
Yeah. Oh yeah, and Pat
Pat,
Fraley was in it.
Pat
Yeah.
Fraley was the other. There, so there were three of us, and it was me, Rob, and Pat, who were the Star Sheriffs. And then I think Peter Cullen might have been
He
on that
was, yeah, yeah.
series also. Yeah,
I've just had a look. Yeah, Tick was says starring Townsend Coleman, Rob Paulson, Cam Clark. And you've got Saber Rider. Sometimes I think the common pairing is you, Pat Fraley, and Rob Paulson, which I think is quite funny.
yeah. Well, that's like we did a show called Space Cats, and it was the three of us
Space
also.
Cats. That's what I was looking up. That's the show. That's couldn't remember what it was. And there's
Right.
a I think it was a Brave Star.
Space Cats.
Mhm. I think there was another one. I think it might have been Brave Star. No, I don't think it was. No, it wasn't Brave Star. I'm pretty sure it wasn't.
Well,
No.
Pat did Brave Star, but I was not on that.
Oh no, it was Susan Blue
I
that
think.
I'm thinking of. Sorry, she was on that. Yeah, because I'm looking at all these
Yeah.
different shows. Yeah, there's so many. I'm just looking at all them Saturday Supercade robotics. You're just thinking, oh my god, there's so many. You didn't do GI Joe, did you? You didn't. You did Gem, but not GI
Right.
Joe.
Yeah, not GI
Yeah.
Joe. I did Transformers in G1, but I never did GI Joe. No.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say because there's a project called Robotics. It was like a sort of anime spin-off. I don't know who it was made by. It was on oh Sunbow Marvel. Hence, it's got a load of Transformers cast members. So Frank, Peter, Corey, Michael Bell. Everything like that.
All
Um,
the usual suspects. Yeah.
yeah, the usual Sunbow. People. That actually, this is the big question that I'm going to end on. I've started doing this because it's like a big build up. No one knows what I'm going to ask, but it's just a random question that I just classify as the big one to end it off.
Okay.
So the big question is, Townsend, before we round this off, what was it like working with Wally Burr on Transformers and Gem and maybe other shows that you've done?
Oh, Wally was great. He was a bit of a curmudgeon, and had his very, very specific ideas about how he wanted things to sound. And Wally didn't mind giving line readings, so he would do it and oftentimes just expect you to copy him. I remember when I was first starting to do Gem, he actually came into the studio from the control room and came over to the mic where I was standing, and he showed me exactly how he wanted me to get on the mic and how exactly how he wanted me to deliver Riot's lines because he wanted him very uh, intimate right on the mic.
Yeah,
And he
yeah,
wanted it. And so Wally's, modeling this for me, and showing me by example. And I thought, well, this is an interesting way to direct. Okay, sure. I'll do that as my first time really working for him. And but we got along great and he was great. With Wally, you just had to sort of get used to his style.
yeah.
And once you did, things flowed freely.
Yeah.
It was a great experience for sure.
Yeah, because he did fill in on Transformers. I think either Scatman Crothers, John Stevenson, and Don Messick weren't at the recording sessions or they weren't available, but he has filled in as Jazz, Thundercracker, and Ratchet for different episodes. So I don't know what
Uh-huh.
the thing was behind that. But did he ever voice any characters on Gem? Or was it just Transformers that he just filled in for people?
Well, no, that was on Gem. Riot. So what I was just
My
talking about was
headphones have just
Riot.
cut out.
Uh, well, so, so,
My
so what I
headphones have
was
just cut
just,
out for some reason.
oh,
Still going, Townsend.
can you hear?
I still can't hear. Just chat again.
Is so are
There
they
we go.
still
I
up?
don't know. It just said power. It just said power on. I was like, what's going on? Yeah. Did Wally voice anyone on Gem?
Well, yeah. So the story I was just talking about, Wally coming into the studio from the
Yeah.
control room,
Yeah.
that was a
Yeah.
character that I was doing on Gem.
Yeah.
That was at a Gem session, and
Yeah.
and yeah. So I played the character of Riot. Rory
Yeah.
Llewellyn was his real name, but his
Oh,
stage name was Riot, and he was the
yeah.
lead singer of the Stingers
Hmm.
um, in Gem. So
Yeah.
yeah, so I did
Oh,
that.
he did do a few characters on Gem. He voiced Harvey Gabor and Emmett Benton. I believe Emmett Benton. I think who is he?
Who are
I
you
gotta.
talking about? Wally?
Wally. Yeah, Wally. He
Yeah, right.
definitely did. He did. He
Yeah.
did.
Well, he did characters. I think he made a habit of doing characters in all the shows he directed. The first
Yeah.
time I actually met him was when
Oh,
I
he
auditioned.
voiced Jem's dad. He voiced Jem's dad.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
Harvey Gabor is I think Pizzazz's dad. Yeah, yeah, voiced by the late Patricia Alice Albrecht. I think that's how you say her last name. I do apologize if that's not right.
Albrecht.
Albrecht. Sorry,
Albrecht.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, Wally was on a lot of the shows that he directed. But the first time that I met him, I had just moved to town, and
yeah,
it was one of my very first auditions. Although I had, but I was already doing Inspector Gadget, so I was sort of into the animation thing already. But it was shortly after I did Inspector Gadget, I auditioned for Wally when they were casting Muppet Babies, and
yeah.
I auditioned for Baby Kermit, and of course didn't get it. It was Frank Welker,
Yeah.
but yeah, and by that time I knew of Frank Welker's legendary standing in this business, because the first time I met him was at the very first session of Inspector that I first recording session of Inspector Gadget that I did.
Yeah.
And I just did the last 10 episodes of the series. So that's where I met Frank and then quickly became a fan. And so when
Yeah.
I heard that he got Baby Kermit, I was not surprised. But yeah, but that was the first time I auditioned for Wally Burr.
Oh, that's really cool. Okay, I may or may not have lied. That wasn't the big question.
But it
this
was
one,
so big.
it is big, but
I
this
can't
one
get
is
any bigger
this
than that.
but this one, okay, let's just say this one is just as big.
All right.
We haven't really talked about him, and of course you have worked with him a few times on different projects. Stu Rosen, who directed the pilot for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I remember because Sue Blue, I think she briefly said at TF Nation saying, "Oh, got a live action film, but she just started voice directing a show." But then, like, the pilot didn't take off, or she turned down that live action job. And then she was like, "That show, the animated show was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles," and the crowd just screamed. It was crazy. It was like, wow, it wouldn't have
That was a
happened. Like,
that was a big
yeah,
deal for us because we knew Susie as an actress, as a voice actor.
yeah,
And so she hadn't directed anything before, and that was her first project. And so for her to be doing that was just really great. It was, I mean, we were all super proud of her, landing a gig like that and being able to direct it for all those years for 10 seasons. And then, of course, that launched her into directing, so many other series as well.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
So,
but you were asking about Stu. Stu was,
yeah,
yeah,
the next
Stu was
big question, the second big
well.
question,
So
Stu
the second
Rosen.
big, yeah, Stu was Stu was Stu. Stu had a really distinct personality and a way of approaching directing and casting and such. Certainly leaned on his favorites. but was always looking for new talent as well.
Yeah.
And so I remember Stu was voice directing one of the first series I did in '86 called Fraggle Rock. And yeah, and actually, I remember him coming into one of our Fraggle Rock recording sessions and pulling out a copy of a Ninja Turtle comic book out of his briefcase and said, "You guys, look, I'm going to be directing this next." And we looked at the title and we just kind of rolled our eyes and thought, "Well, yeah, okay, good luck with that." Um, but Stu is interesting. Stu, kind of like Wally Burr, was very sort of hands-on.
Yeah.
He would come in the studio, and wrap his arm around you and give you line readings and tell you exactly how he wanted you to stand. And I mean, he would not only vocalize it, verbalize it, but also physicalize it too. He'd want to say, "So do this with your body and really, use your hands." It's like he was teaching you, but like during a session, it could be a little a little uncomfortable, let's just say. And so, but Stu was also very loyal to his actors that he liked working with and would bring them in often on shows. I'm trying to think what else I might have worked with Stu on besides Ninja Turtles, and I'm sure he directed something else that he brought me in on early on in those early days. But certainly Fraggle Rock was the one where I worked with him the most on. And then he directed the first 5 episodes of that 5-part miniseries of Ninja Turtles.
Mm.
And that was the pilot that, you know, ultimately got us picked up and to go to
Yeah.
series.
Yeah. I'm having a look here. I've had a that's not right. I'm pretty hmm. Hmm. I was gonna say he voiced directed Fraggle Rock, the animated series, right? Well, it's
Right.
not on here on behind. I just use behind the voice actors as like my go-to thing
As your
for.
as your as your encyclopedia. Yeah.
Yeah, why is oh, it is there. Yeah, I was gonna say there's Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling, Mask, My
Right.
Little Pony the movie, Defenders of the Earth, Fraggle Rock, RoboCop, X-Men, Captain N, The Game Master, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, Little Dracula, Little Shop, a lot of the Biker Mice from Mars, Iron Man, Space Strikers, all these old different things. So I'm not sure what it could
Yeah,
have
he
been.
he directed a lot of shows for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Oh
Yeah.
man, yeah. Of
And my
course, Ham and
kids
Rob are
my
on that one. Yeah.
my kids used to watch him as Dusty on Dusty's Treehouse
Oh
when
yeah, I
they were
did read
kids.
about that. Yeah, yeah. That's really cool. It's like double live. Double live.
Right.
Well, Townsend, thank you so much for being on
Amber,
my show again. Yes.
thank you for having me on your show. Thank you for having your show. Thank you
You're
for being you. And thank you for
welcome.
wearing the great little silly cat
Cat
ears.
headphones. Well, Andrea Romano has the same pair as me. Just
Oh,
saying.
she does she? And
Mm,
and and who got them first?
she did.
Ah, see, there you
Well,
go.
I
And
had the
as it should be.
I had a yellow wired pair, and then she was inspired when I spoke to her through GalaxyCon. She was like, "Oh yeah, I've ordered a pair for myself," and she ordered this pair, and then my pair broke. So I was like, "Look, I'm gonna have to get a new pair." And I coincidentally got the same pair that Andrea has. So you know,
Well, maybe when my pair dies, I'll invest in a pair of those.
yeah, you
Yeah.
should. So okay, right. I'm excited to mention this because to you, I was saying, "Oh my gosh, I am so jealous." So Townsend, before I ask, I mean, I don't. You're on social media, right? You've of course you've Instagram, Twitter. Yeah, I'd
I
be talking.
I yeah, I have those accounts. I almost never post anything. I pretty much stay away kind of from social media, um, mostly.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's totally understandable. But the thing I was gonna ask you, one thing you can promote is where will you be in November, Townsend, with the rest of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the big guest I am jealous that you'll be at the same convention as? Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I've got two cons coming up in November, so I'm not sure which one you're referencing. We're doing Rhode Island Comic Con, which is a big
Well,
one, the
oh,
first weekend of November. But
it's
then you might be talking about the one in San Francisco. And so
Yes.
we're doing Fanboy Expo up there. Yeah, Thanksgiving weekend. And
Yeah.
it was just announced that Mark Hamill is going to be at that show. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes. I am
Yeah,
super jealous. I've always wanted to meet him, but he hasn't done a UK con in years, and I don't think he'll ever do one. So
right. And I think I
I'm
just read that he hasn't done a con since 20 either 16 or 2018.
yeah, because he used to do
So
some of them with Kevin Conroy. They did like
yeah,
Fan Expo Toronto,
right.
the one in Texas, they used to do those together. And yeah, Rhode Island, I'd love to go to that. It's that New York Comic Con, and FanX. Those are some US cons I'd like to go to. Of course, I'm going to TF Con next year, so I will get to
Right.
experience an American con. But honestly, like,
Yeah.
just I'm so jealous. Like, you could end up meeting Mark Hamill backstage. I'm not. You have met him, right? Or did you?
Yeah,
Have you?
I've worked with him.
You've worked with him, but obviously not
Right.
on Batman, as we were speaking before.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
you
I know
have met
because when
him.
I did Batman, I don't recall meeting him, and I would have remembered that for sure. I remember meeting Carrie
Yeah.
Elways on one of the Batman sessions, and that was a bit of a thrill for me because, of course, Princess Bride was one of my family's favorite films and one of my kids' favorite movies. So, yeah, so that was
Yeah. Oh yeah, he voiced Paxton
fun.
Powers in Batman Beyond.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Yeah.
but no, I didn't meet Mark working on Batman. But yeah, that's going to be a big draw for the show up in San Francisco over
Yeah.
Thanksgiving weekend. Yeah.
300 something dollars for a photo up with Mark, and he's doing a Q&A and everything. Someone's definitely going to ask him about Kevin
I
Conroy,
think
I
I
think,
think
and
I
Darlene
think
Tilton.
Pete
Yeah.
I think Pete Cullen's going to be there too.
He is,
Uh
yes, and Tara Strong. I just,
and Tara's going to be there. Yeah.
I am manifesting for your sake and like everybody else that Frank Welker gets announced. So he could be with Peter, he could be with the Turtles, he could be with Mark Hamill, he could be with Tara Stone. Dude, I'm so sad I won't get to go to that. Well, it's either this or TFCon next year, and I think I've made up my mind because TFCon, like, look, I love Mark Hamill and like everyone there, but I think TFCon's won my heart over with like all. I think they might be getting all G1 voice actors for that one in Burbank in March.
Really? Oh, that'd be
Keep your
fun.
ears out.
Yeah.
Keep your ears out. So
Yeah, sure will.
I'll I'll put a link in the description to where you can get your tickets to Rhode Island Comic Con and Fan Expo San Francisco. And
Okay.
with that, I'll sign off our interview here. Thank you so much for watching to you at home. Part number 2 of Townsend Coleman. We might do a part 3, who knows? But I hope you enjoyed watching this. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, and we'll see you around. All right, take care,
All right.
guys.
Cowabunga
Bye.
dudes.
Cowabunga! And God, I did a software there. Yeah, there we go.